going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition of the Transfer View. It is Friday, end of the week vibes. We made it. We got there in the end. Friday, we can relax. The weekend is upon us. Manchester United play in 24 hours time. Yes, on Saturday. Technically into Sunday morning, but you get my point depending on where you are. Of course, Manchester United's pre-season fixtures kick off tomorrow against Arsenal. I'm going to be live at, 11 p.m. Kickoff's at 1 a.m. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited about that. Pre-season tours well underway now. Everyone's out there in LA and training sessions are happening. We saw that last night. And it's exciting. It's exciting. How can you not love pre-season? They can see it right there, sidebar. Actually, you can see all the games and all of the dates on the sidebar right there. So any info you're going, when's that match going to happen? What time are you going to be live for that one? This, that, and the other. Check out the sidebar. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. How are we all doing in the chat? Tabrez says morning. Kristen says morning all. Ghost says morning. Jeremy says morning UV. Family from sunny Edmonton. My style advisor's in there. Javid's in there. Simon's in there as well. We can see everyone getting involved. Indeed, indeed. So let us know where you're watching from and what the weather's like as well. It's quite sunny this morning here where I am. Beautiful weather. Not as hot, which you know me, I like that. I like that. Not as hot. Recently, the heat's been unbearable. And I know this always brings up the conversation about where other people are. It's hotter, which I don't doubt, but it's too hot for me. Too hot for me. Lil Yo-Yo's in the chat. He's a menace. Says, Owen, make sure you get your dose of energy drinks before tonight. Already on it, mate. Already on it, yeah. There's going to be some late nights, which I'm kind of used to, you know, with the wrestling stuff, working across the different time zones. Of course, we're on the West Coast, so that time difference is, 8 hours, I think? 8 hours. So, yeah, it's going to be some late nights, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how many of you guys are there with me. Yeah, I'm sure you'll all be there with me, trying to stay up late, being like this. Yeah, so I remember when I was younger. When was this? It was one of Man United's pre-season tours of the US. It might have been like 2002, 2003, something like that. It was the year that we signed Ronaldo, so that's 2003, I think it was. And I remember I was only young at the time, and I remember my dad saying, "Wow, you know, Man United are playing. It's gonna be early in the morning, but they're playing." And you know, as a kid, you've got all of that enthusiasm. Yes, I'm going to stay up. I'm going to stay up, and I'm going to watch it. And he would go, "Well, you know, you need to have a nap in the middle of the day. Then you need to have a nap in the middle of the day, and then you might be able to do it. You might be able to." Didn't work out. Didn't work out. I mean, you get to like 10 o'clock, and then you know, it doesn't happen. But this is what it was like back. I mean, I'm well off the track already. But then what they did? He was like, "We'll VHS it." Yeah, we'll VHS it. And there is something about the excitement when you were younger of waking up and going to the VHS machine and going, oh, I wonder if it recorded. I wonder if it recorded. And then you click play and it had recorded. You're like, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. I've traveled back in time. So I love the tour. I love the US tour. It's always a lot of fun. So yes, that's going to be coming up tomorrow, and I'll be live for all of it, indeed. What are we going to be talking about this morning? We're going to be talking about Harry Maguire and he's done a bit of an interview with Sky Sports, suggesting that he's going to stay, which I suppose isn't totally surprising. I'd kind of always said that I didn't think Harry Maguire was going to leave this summer, but of course, it's going to be the outrage. I thought we were getting a rebuild. Ineos, what are you doing? Harry Maguire's still here. Let's just stop the club right now. False praise, false idols. We'll be chatting about that. Wan-Bissaka, a swap deal. He wants to go to Inter Milan. He turned down West Ham, according to David Ornstein. So we'll be chatting about Wan-Bissaka and who he could be swapped for. Jadon Sancho, a bit more on him. Some details as to his return, how much he's still available for. what clubs are interested in him as well. So there's plenty to get into this morning. So if you haven't already, click the like button. As you can see right there, top right hand corner, less than 300 into 172,000 subscribers. Road to 200k is firmly on. And as I've said several mornings recently, now is the time to subscribe if you haven't already, because many long-term or long-time United View viewers will say pre-season tour is where it's at when it comes to United View. No one can touch us when it comes to the pre-season tour content. Let's talk about Harry Maguire. Shall we? Indeed. So, I mentioned Maguire's done an interview with Sky Sports. Quite a few, actually, United players doing a few interviews. I saw Christian Eriksen had spoke to a Sky Sports reporter as well. And from Richie Romano, picked up this quote. We'll give some more context on it in just a second. But Harry Maguire on his future and links with a Manchester United exit. To be honest, everything I've heard is that I'm part of the future here at Man United. I'm ready to fight for the biggest trophies, Maguire told Sky Sports. Now, as I mentioned, a bit more context from United District. You kind of, because sometimes with those kind of posts, they can kind of cherry pick certain lines or anything like that. So he said, unless the club tell me I'm up for sale or I'm not wanted there anymore, then everything I've heard and the action that I've been shown from the club is that I'm part of the future. Which I thought was very interesting, that part. I thought that was very interesting. Unless, I'm told I'm up for sale or I'm not wanted anymore, then everything I've heard is that I'm going to be here. When it's like, well, certainly the reports would suggest that you're not actively up for sale, but they're willing and they're open to offers. So we'll circle back to that. He mentioned once again, it's time to crack on and try and make this club successful again and challenge for the big trophies because that's what it demands. Now, when it comes to Harry Maguire, obviously, as I mentioned, whenever you bring up his name, you just get, outrage or anything like that. I'm not shocked that he most likely will probably stay. I've always said I think he'll probably stay this summer. Why? Because the players have the ultimate power when it comes to transfers. And Harry Maguire is one of those situations and scenarios, well, it is the sins of the past, isn't it? He's on £190,000 a week, I think it is. He's still got a couple of years left on his contract. We gave him this mammoth contract when he signed. What was it, like 7 years or something ridiculous? When he signed with the club back in 2019. So he's still got time left. He's still got a big wage. We saw what happened last season when a club was legitimately interested in West Ham. He went, no, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to fight for my place. And he was kind of proven right. He was kind of proven right last season, wasn't he? This idea of you're not going to play, well, he ended up playing. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens this season. If we don't... If we don't have the injuries that we did last season, and that does limit his game time, will that kind of shift his mentality a little bit? Will that kind of change his mind a little bit? Will one more season, then I think he would have like a year left on his contract at that point. Would that change his mind and then be like, right, actually, yeah, I've got to probably, go to another club? You have to also consider the point of view that there's a different England manager now as well. Being a different England manager. I mean, previously, under Gareth Southgate, it was that it didn't matter. The rock settings. It doesn't matter if you play at Manchester United or not. I'm going to pick you. You're my guy. He would have been at the Euros if he wasn't injured. He would have been in Gareth Southgate's squad. Guarantee. Now, with a new England manager coming in, whoever that may be, we don't know, probably won't know for a while, if they suddenly say to Harry Maguire, look, you've actually got to be playing near enough week in, week out to get into my England squad, that might change things. That could be a real critical factor involved in all of this. That was actually something that I thought kind of stopped Maguire leaving last season, along with several other factors, but that certainly was something at play there of it's not necessarily game time that's affecting his international career, because whether he's playing all the time for Manchester United or he's not playing for Manchester United, he's going to play for England anyway. And then when it comes to just the complexity of the deal, We saw it last season, didn't we, with West Ham? West Ham put money in, or put a bid in, whether they did or didn't. That whole West Ham, did they or didn't they bid for Maguire McTominay last season is very murky territory. Because you hear some people go, no, we didn't even put a bid in. And then you get other people going, yeah, they put a bid in. It was like 30 million or 25 million, whatever it was. The point being is that you get to that stage with Harry Maguire and the buying club goes, right, here's the money we're prepared to pay, but he's on £190,000 a week. We just can't do that, and he's still going to want to be made whole. When it comes to the money that's left on his contract, how do we bridge that gap? How do we bridge that gap? And obviously United are like, well, we're not really going to do it. What we're going to do, pay him to leave, and the buying club's like, well, we're not really going to do it as well. There's a lot of money to pay there. So that becomes a problem too. And particularly with still, more than a year left on his contract as well. So it's a somewhat more complex deal to do than, say, a Victor Lindelof, who's only got a year left. He's not on as much money as Harry Maguire. It's relatively straightforward. It's relatively easier to do. And then you can just do it quite quickly and then bring in Matthijs de Ligt. Again, it'll be interesting to see what happens if de Ligt came in, and then you've got, Martinez, Yoro, de Ligt, and then Maguire possibly as fourth choice. Then with Maguire sitting on the bench for ages, then does he kind of get the point? Is that the point? Does he actually get it at that nature? So I didn't think he was going to go. I mean, anything can still happen. As I mentioned in the transfer window, anything is possible, and it would be interesting to see if a club did put a bid in, what would happen then, because from his comments, he's saying, well, I've not been told I'm up for sale, and if I'm told that I am for sale, then maybe something else would happen, but I've not been told anything. All the signs that I'm getting here is that I'm going to be staying, so I'm going to be staying. But it depends what you view as, that you're up for sale or you're not as wanted. I mean, he was stripped of the captaincy, not because he did anything nefarious or anything like that, but just because Erik ten Hag thought there were better options, which there were. Even that itself, you'd be like, oof, well, that's kind of... that's maybe a bit an indication I'm not actually that high up on the pecking order here. Is he waiting to be, told to his face, you're up for sale, mate? Would that only happen when a bid goes in? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I don't think it happens this summer because I think it's too complex, too complicated to do from a financial point of view. MA says...
Hold on, wait a minute.
Why do buying clubs have to match his current wages? They, of course, don't have to match his current wages or anything like that. It's more saying from a player's point of view... If he's going to go from, let's say he's on £190,000 a week, and let's say he goes to West Ham, and they say the best we can offer you, and I'm saying West Ham are interested, but I'm saying using them as an example, the best we can offer you is £120,000 a week, right? He would then go, well, obviously that's less than I'm currently on. Is there any way we can make up on the money that I would be getting? I've got 2 years left on £190,000 a week. I'm going to be earning less here. Can we figure that difference out in terms of a signing on bonus, in terms of a loyalty payment, or something else along those lines? And sometimes the buying club goes, no, we can't do that. And then they go to Manchester United going, well, can you contribute towards that? And then the selling club's going, we don't want to contribute towards that. You're meant to be buying the player. Those are the complexities in terms of those deals. And sometimes you do get situations where clubs, because they're so desperate to get them off the books, they make up the difference. They just make up the difference. Well, we'll continue to pay £50,000 a week for the remainder of their 2-year contract because they're so desperate. They're so desperate to get them off the wage books. So again, those are the sort of complexities involved in those kind of in terms of those kind of transfers. So yeah, it's an interesting one, certainly an interesting one. Let's just actually, whilst we're at it, confirm what his contract situation is like. So it's actually this year it expires, but it's got an option for a further year, I think. So yeah, the people that are legitimately no more options out for another year are Johnny Evans, Christian Eriksen, Hannibal, Victor Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka. That's why we'll talk about Wan-Bissaka in a bit. That's why they have to go this summer, because it's either we give you a new contract or we're going to leave on a free next season. So that's why, as I mentioned, your Lindelofs are far more likely to go than your Maguire. So that's the situation. And look, I'll never bemoan a player for having to being on the wages that they're on. It's Man United's fault. What's Harry Maguire meant to say? However many years ago it was at this point. Here's your contract, £190,000 a week. No, I can't possibly take it. I can't. What? No, I can't. I couldn't. Take some money off that. No, let's not do that. I could never. I could never. Not to Manchester United. No, never. I could never. It's not Harry Maguire's fault. That's Man United's problem. Man United put themselves into this situation with with a high wage contract for several years, and then we bemoan, we can't get rid of these players. That's Man United's fault. That's why it's called sins of the past, because now you've got to deal with it. You've got to somehow try and manage that. And I can see Maguire's perspective to an extent, where last season there were actual bids in for him, and he went, no, I'm going to stay, I'm going to fight for my position, and he played. So he might be like, well, I'll do it again. I played last season, I'll play again this season. I'll see what happens. Like I said, it'll be interesting though to see if, hopefully, their injuries aren't anywhere near what they were last season, and he doesn't play that often, factoring in the New England manager. Then what happens? Then do we get to January and he's kind of like, actually, I really do actually need to go. I'm actually genuinely not going to play. That would be the interesting thing to see what happens. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by it, And he played, when he did play last season, he played relatively well. I wasn't on board with, I remember towards the end of last pre-season, I think it was in Dublin, where he was getting booed every time he touched the ball. I mean, completely pointless. I mean, and the funny thing was, the weird justification for that day was, well, that's me saying I don't want him in my club, so I'm going to boo him. Well, it really worked, didn't it? Because he's still here. that really forced him out the door, those boos 12 months ago. And he played a lot last season, so that tactic was spot on. I mean, it secured his move away from the club. It was terrific. What good strategy, very good strategy. So yes, that's the latest when it comes to Harry Maguire. Of course, if anything else happens in the transfer window of him, we'll of course let you know. We've got over 800 people watching. We're over 200 likes. Let's get those likes up. Let's see if we can get it up to 300, 400, 500 likes this morning. If you haven't already, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. You know what to do. Let's go stateside. Let's go to Flexing KG. As I mentioned, there's so much tour content coming over the next few days, of course. Today, you're going to see all sorts. Inside SoFi Stadium, there's going to be collaborations, previews. Obviously, I'll be on the match view tomorrow. There's going to be reactions, player interviews, etc. That's all coming. But they have arrived. They are stateside. So, here's what they had to say when they were inside SoFi yesterday.
We are here in LA. We made it. We made it, and look where we are. This is ridiculous. Now, I want to say this, and I feel like a snake because I keep going to different places and changing my mind. I went to Vegas. I saw the Raiders stadium. I said, that is the best stadium in the world. And I came here. And no disrespect, big up to the Raiders and that, but what is this? This is There's a floating spaceship
for no reason,
hanging off the ceiling, bro.
Just there,
and it's double-sided screen.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let's zoom out.
There you go. So you can see that there. That's the screen from the outside. So if you're lower, obviously you won't be able to see the back of it. Look at the screen on the inside.
Imagine a VAR. So imagine a call, or you want to see a replay of what happened so that everyone can boo. It's there. Right. Keepers, nowhere to hide. Referees, nowhere to hide. This is mental.
I'm not going to lie, we've got the task force that's been assembled at Man United to see, to discuss the options of what to do with Old Trafford. Knock it down.
Do we build upon it?
Knock it down.
Do we knock it down and start again?
I've seen
I'm
this.
going to go one further.
Go ahead.
Whatever plans they had
Yep.
of the stadium that they think they can build, like,
Yep.
to start again, scrap it.
Scrap it.
This is the...
Can we build this in Manchester?
Build that.
Do you know what? Look at this. Watch this.
On top of the canal, mate.
Yeah, look, I'm going to do something quickly. I'm going to take a seat here, and there's going to be space. There you go. Go past me, mate. Don't have to get up.
No.
Don't have to get
I
up.
can just walk past freely.
Don't have to get up.
It's a joke. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we're inside the SoFi Stadium. This is where Manchester United are going to be taking on Arsenal in a couple of days' time.
filth.
The filth. Yes. They've played their game, drew against Bournemouth. Arteta out. But the stadium's incredible. The team is here.
Travelling squad.
The travelling squad has been announced. You said...
I said it was going to be a surprise.
Now,
I
your
was
surprise
surprised
was
that
what?
my surprise is not really happening. I thought Terrell Malacia would be coming on his tour. You know, we needed a left back. We wouldn't have got Amas, or was it Armas? I don't know how to say his name. Amas.
And the other, the kid, I keep forgetting his name. It's
But
so
we've only
bad.
got him.
Yes.
Yeah?
No, we got two.
Yeah, I'm saying, but
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of the one that was going to break into the first team, but you already heard Man United talking
Sam, that's it.
you
Yeah.
already said other conversations are starting to happen.
Yeah.
The main thing is that we there's a lot of people left out. Terrell Malacia didn't travel. I wanted him to be here, but we understand.
He can't, bro, he can't.
We understand.
Yeah.
Now, Xerxes.
People
is a
tried
big-
to say
Xerxes is
online,
on a mission.
bro, we spoke to the club.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Remember?
Yeah,
in
we had a
Scotland, we got told who.
Yeah.
And
We
then
knew.
online there was some, Simon Stone said that, and I was like, did Simon Stone really say? I was searching, and remember I said,
Bro.
that didn't sound right to me.
Bro, I said, you know,
Nah,
someone
man.
laughed at me, you know, because I said that they said that the Danish players might come back. Remember, we had a conversation.
No, we knew they would come back.
No, so some people laughed at me and said, because I talked about the sources, innit? I
Yeah.
said, no, I spoke to someone who takes pictures of these guys, and he said he's waiting at home to take the pictures of the players
Yeah.
at
Not the
Carrington.
Danish ones though. They were always coming.
Yeah, no, the Danish ones
Yeah.
are coming. I'm saying
Oh,
Xerxes
like
and
yeah, Bruno, Xerxes,
everyone.
Dallo.
He had
yeah.
and he goes, is that your sauce? Is that your sauce?
Yeah, exactly.
They was like, is that your sauce? But it turns out, sauce is right.
Exactly. Rasmus 9.
Rasmus
What are you
9.
saying? He's the 9?
Really happy about that. Love that
Is
Rasmus.
that, yeah, you like that? Give him the 9. Like
Give him
he's
the 9.
yeah?
Give him the 9 because I don't know. Again, at Manchester United, we have this habit. We have this habit of we love the shiny new toy, and I hope the fans don't do that next season when we decide to play Rasmus and Xerxes off against each other, and if we build up a Rashford Martial thing. That was a bit toxic. I don't want that. We got two wicked young strikers. Let them play. If another one's not hitting, play the other one. But they play for the same team. And I hope we don't just divide ourselves up into, I like this player. Like, end of the day, whoever's delivering for Man United is one that should be played, but we shouldn't have to get into that thing that we did before. Like, I think that was wrong.
Yeah, it's a big season for Rasmus as
Yeah.
well. Obviously, it was a big season last year. It's his first at United with all that pressure.
Won the FA Cup.
Second season, 100%. And he was
First
our top
season.
goal scorer, mate.
Yeah.
Like, he was
Mental.
our top goal scorer. And now it's more exciting because actually we're giving him an even better environment,
Yes.
more competition, more people
Yes.
to learn off. Ruud van Nistelrooy's there as well. You talk about people to learn off. Like, do you know what I mean? And hopefully we're going to start to build a squad, not in one window,
Yeah.
but begin to build a squad that can help. As soon as Rasmus was getting a little bit of a rest towards the end of the season,
He got better.
Do you know what I mean?
He got
Coming
better.
off the bench against Brighton, goal. Off the bench
Yeah.
against Newcastle, goal. Off the bench in the cup final, holding
Goal.
up the ball. No, not goal.
No, yeah,
but holding
yeah,
up the
yeah,
ball,
yeah.
winning fouls in the last
Yeah,
minutes. You
yeah,
know when
yeah,
Rasmus
yeah.
come on, we're like, yes,
Yeah,
Rasmus,
yeah,
get the
yeah.
ball. When City were
He'll
tired,
be
and
better
going
at.
for
He'll
it.
be better this season with
course.
rest, and again with the team having a new style of play where we're actually playing to the striker.
Yeah.
If we can start to provide for the strikers, you'll see a different level of Rasmus. I think he done well in his first season, and there's more to come.
Yeah,
Happy that they got the 9 shirt.
Exactly. Eriksen's obviously here as well to beef up the squad. I mean, long term, I think Christian will probably go.
Yeah.
But for tour, we need some numbers in there, get some senior guys out there. And I just can't wait, man. I mean, it's the first of what we got 3 games out here.
We're playing in this though. This isn't a.
Mental.
I have to say this again. This
is
is
the
an
best stadium.
incredible stadium. I've never seen anything like
joke.
it.
Top camera work from Just Josh Media there, you know, with the thumb like that halfway through. Yeah, no, really enjoying it out here in LA. This is good. Really good stuff. You know, yeah, you can see, as you can see the stadiums behind me here. That's good. You know, both stadiums right here. Just getting involved with the stadium. That's good. Yeah. Really, it's beautiful. It's lovely. Look at this. Look at this. It's terrific. Big up Flex and KG, as I mentioned. That's all coming in LA, in Inglewood. And there's going to be the game obviously there tomorrow. And as I mentioned, so much more is coming today too. And it's funny that they brought up the traveling squad stuff again, because I'm glad they did. because it was so. I don't want to dwell on it too much because I spoke about it yesterday morning. But when I mentioned it when that news was coming out at the time, I went, well, I guess if those accounts are reporting it, then it's true. But I remember reading that Simon Stone article going, he said nothing about Joshua Zirkzee or stuff about Bruno have come in. I was like, that's just not true. That's not true. But there you go. We know the players that are going to be there. It must be said, there was a little bit said by, I think, Chris Wheeler, said that there's the possibility that some players could join up on the preseason tour in the second week, but they're taking it a very case-by-case basis. So there is the possibility of maybe one or two could join up, but case-by-case basis, we'll have to see. And if that's not worth thumb up on the if that's not worth a like, click the thumb up. That's what it should be. Yeah, the top camera work by Just Josh. Let me zoom out. There you go. What you call it? Wan-Bissaka, his future. This is quite an interesting one, actually, because, of course, Manchester United were linked to Mazraoui from Bayern Munich, and it looks like West Ham are going to sign the Bayern Munich defender. David Ornstein reporting yesterday that West Ham are closing in on a deal to sign the Bayern Munich fullback. West Ham and the club. West Ham have club and player agreements for the Morocco international in place, with the proposed transfer advanced but not yet done. Of course, Manchester United, as I mentioned, retained an interest in the 26-year-old, but West Ham are ahead at the present. Now, what does this all mean? Why are they ahead? Of course, if we were going to get Mazraoui or someone else like that, it would be because Aaron Wan-Bissaka would leave. But he doesn't want to move to West Ham. David Ornstein says that any deal for United would require Aaron Wan-Bissaka to depart. The right back has turned down West Ham and instead favours a move to Inter Milan this summer, or as a free agent when his contract expires in June 2025. So, if he wants to go to Inter Milan, what kind of deals can be done this summer rather than him leaving on a free agent? That's where Denzel Dumfries comes into it. Yes, someone who, by the way, every single time they would go to him in the Euros just looked furious. Absolutely furious. Ornstein said an idea that would see Wan-Bissaka go to Inter and Denzel Dumfries join Manchester United is being discussed by intermediaries, although that possible switch is not advanced as things stand. So, with this, 1 in the chat if you would be happy with that swap, 2 in the chat if you wouldn't be happy with it. I mean, obviously, I see the pros and cons when it comes to all of this. Obviously, once again, it's another Dutch player. We've been linked with him many a times in the past, haven't we? We've been linked with Dumfries many times in the past. I can't say I've seen him play all the time. The times that I've seen him, I've been relatively impressed. But then you have to also consider the system, of course, because more often I've seen him playing in a back three as a wing back. I have seen him playing in a back four, like at the Euros with the Netherlands, but I've seen more of him playing as a wing back. But also, I'm kind of in the position where, at this point, where it's like, well, it seems pretty obvious, doesn't it, that Aaron Wan-Bissaka isn't going to be getting a new contract, right? That Aaron Wan-Bissaka isn't going to be getting a new contract, so he has to go this summer if we're going to make any money, from his sale. Otherwise, it's going to be a free next year. And if he's like, I only want to go to Inter Milan, then we're kind of backed into a corner there a little bit, aren't we? We're backed into a corner of, he doesn't want to go to West Ham. He turned down a move to West Ham. What other clubs are interested? If it's only Inter Milan for him, then we've got to do a deal. Whoever comes in isn't going to be the starting right back anyway, because that spot is seemingly Diogo Dalot's. So given the circumstances and given the situation, then I probably would go like, yeah, then I'd take it then. Then I would take it, because it's better than losing Wan-Bissaka on a free, even though I guess if it was just a straight swap, there wouldn't be really any money involved. But then you would have a player that's locked down for a few more years and you can focus on other positions, I suppose. In terms of being a backup right back, then I'd be like, well, okay, then we'll take that. Then we'll take it. I mean, I know obviously the discussion about Wan-Bissaka once again then brings up the whole well, one-on-one defending, he's one of the best at one-on-one defending, which I don't deny or anything like that, but there's more to it. There's more to, being a right back nowadays than just one-on-one defending, isn't there? Does Dumfries offers that? Well, certainly going forward, he would offer more than Wan-Bissaka, wouldn't he? I mean, again, but that's because he's more naturally a wing-back than a full-back, so you get into the territory of defensively, is he all that? Is he up to snuff? But I think given the circumstances of the situation, which is Wan-Bissaka's got a year left, doesn't want to go anywhere else, he only wants to go to Inter, then I'd be like, okay, then I would take that deal, because we just... is that backup right back situation isn't even our biggest fullback dilemma this summer. Our biggest fullback dilemma is we need a left back. We need a left back desperately. Malasia's not back yet. Luke Shaw, he can't play all of the games, so we need to sort that out. We can't really be affording to be, wasting our time dilly-dallying over what's going to happen with right backs and Wan-Bissaka, is he going to stay? Is he not going to stay? If there's an opportunity for him to be swapped with Dumfries, then just do it. Move on to the next one. So I think again, I would take it. I mean, I don't know again how long of a deal he would be on when it comes to that. I mean, how old is he? Let's have a look here. He's 28. So you'd probably say like three year deal max. Wouldn't want to be 5 or anything. And that's why I say I just don't think United can afford to be spending too much time going back and forth with all this kind of stuff. If an opportunity presents itself, he wouldn't be the starting right back anyway, then you get it done and move on to the next, because we need a midfielder and we need a left back. And we still need to sort out if we're going to be able to bring in another centre-back, didn't Matthijs de Ligt too. So that's kind of the situation there. What are people saying here at the moment? I don't think Dumfries would leave to be a backup. Dwayne says, Milan won't pay big wages, so can't see a swap. Seems like we have another Maguire situation, sits on the bench. I mean, how much is Wan-Bissaka's wages? Wan-Bissaka wage per week. Going to take me to Capology. So this is Man United's wage structure. This is why I always bring it up, because he's on £90,000 a week. For reference, Denzel Dumfries is on, if I change that to pounds, so Dumfries is on 51 because it's converted, but £50,000 a week. So again, would it be a case of Wan-Bissaka willing to take a pay cut? He wouldn't get 90,000 a week at Inter, seemingly. But we'll see. We'll see with that one. As they mentioned, David Ornstein said it's not that advanced at the moment, so it might be something to watch later on in the window. And just in general, Wan-Bissaka is one to watch later on in the window, just because, again, he's got a year left on his contract. We used the option last season. There is certainly a desire to move him on, and we'll see if Manchester United are able to do that. But once again, it's one of those situations where sins of the past, high wages, realise he's not going to get that wage anywhere else. We'll see what happens indeed. So Wan-Bissaka, definitely one to watch. Let's also talk about Jadon Sancho. Because there was an interesting piece this morning from Chris Wheeler talking about Jadon Sancho, his future, what's going to be happening with him. So as far as his integration back into the squad, Chris Wheeler said Jadon Sancho has fitted back in at Manchester United like he's never been away. Sources describe a bubbly character with a good sense of humour who can be a positive influence on those around him. Everyone wants to keep it that way. So does that mean he's going to be sticking around, or is he still going to be leaving? Well, Wheeler says the feeling is that Manchester United will sell Jadon Sancho this summer if they get an offer close to the £40 million mark. Sancho is one of the players they would sacrifice to strengthen in other areas, as he has multiple players ahead of him in the squad. Now, interestingly, who are those players that are ahead of him, do you think? If let's say it's the right-hand side, is it just Garnacho and Ahmad? Because I wouldn't say Anthony. I wouldn't say Anthony is ahead of him in the Manchester United squad, or certainly I don't think he should be. But that's maybe the second or third report over the last few days to suggest that just because he's been reintegrated back into the squad doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to be sold, and doesn't necessarily mean that he's not up for sale. So I think certainly that school of thought that some people had with which is just because he's back training, that doesn't mean he's going to be staying. If anything, it's almost a case of, getting him back into the shop window, as it were, getting him back into the shop window, showing everyone that there aren't any dramas there anymore, that they've moved on, get involved in some pre-season fixtures, show everyone that you're sharp, and then maybe those offers will start to come in. The problem is, he'd been linked to a move. Well, the places he's been linked to thus far, Dortmund, he was there last season, can't afford the transfer. Juventus, can't afford the transfer. They're looking to sell people first and see if they can do it. The one place that could would be PSG. And we don't know how kind of concrete that is. They seem pretty preoccupied by other transfers at the moment, whether it's Neves, whether it's Victor Osimhen. So it feels like if they were to go for Jadon Sancho, he's quite low down the priority list in terms of the transfers that they're currently doing at the moment. If I had to make a prediction, if you said, Owen, will Jadon Sancho be a Manchester United player at the end of the transfer window? First of all, in the chat, 1 for yes, 2 for no, if Sancho's going to be here or not at the end of the transfer window. I lean into no. I don't think he will. I think eventually someone will put the money down. Probably, it might be PSG. It might even be Juventus, in the sense that they do sell a couple of players and they can put a bid in. And I do think that if a bid came in, then he probably would leave. But you've kind of got a bit of a dichotomy there, haven't you? Because the report says Manchester United would consider offers if the £40 million mark came in, because they see him as a player that can raise a lot of money, and we can put those into other transfers. But then they also paint a picture of a guy that's very happy. He's reintegrated very quickly. He's bubbly. Everyone's happy to have him around. And suddenly, if he's very happy, a bit like the Maguire situation, a bit like maybe the Wan-Bissaka situation, if he goes, well, I'm happy here, actually, things are good. I didn't expect to be this good. Maybe I'll stick around if the move's not the move that I actually want. Maybe I don't want to go to Juventus. Maybe I only want to go to PSG. And with that being the case, not interested. I'll stick around. What are people saying here in the chat? Jay Blackman says he thinks he will leave. Mustafa says he's going to stay. TV Thrill says going to stay. Skiliana says no one will pay his wages. Courtstar says he's going to go. To be fair, it's pretty mixed. It's pretty mixed. It's pretty 50-50 with that one, which I suppose just about sums up the situation, doesn't it? When he came back into Manchester United training, that did change the percentages, didn't it? It came into the percentages. It changed the percentages because it was like, oh wow, I guess maybe now he could stay. Maybe he could be involved. And in that one pre-season game, the 45 minutes that he played against Rangers, I thought he looked pretty sharp. He looked pretty ready. He looked sharp last pre-season. So that, I guess that doesn't really mean all too much. But it would be interesting to see indeed what does happen if indeed an offer did arrive. If PSG did say, there you go, here's 40 million, take it or leave it. Not only in the sense of, because United would accept that, United would accept that, but what would then Jadon Sancho do? Is he really interested in going regardless of who comes in? Was this just a case of, again, keeping himself sharp and playing in pre-season? Or has he gone, actually, you know what, I like it, now I'm back, so I'll wait for the right move to come in. And I think when it comes to that, all options are certainly on the table. All options are certainly on the table for him there. And as we've seen in this transfer window already, we can't rule out clubs that haven't been linked to Jadon Sancho yet. Who's to say that a Premier League club doesn't come in for Jadon Sancho? I mentioned this yesterday, actually the last few days, that my kind of prediction is, and we've kind of seen it already, that things have started to go quite quiet now that clubs are starting their pre-season tours and their pre-season friendlies, and everyone's kind of mostly spent the money that they've got, and now quite a lot of clubs are in a position where they've got to sell to buy. It will be interesting to see what happens as we get right towards the end of the transfer window, and clubs have started the season one way or the other. They start to panic, or a couple of injuries have happened, and all this kind of stuff. Once that starts to happen, maybe you'll start to see clubs come in for Jadon Sancho that haven't been linked to him at all, from the Premier League or from some of the European leagues, where they're like, we're desperate. We've got to get someone to come in. We've got to bring someone in. Let's go to Man United. We know that Sancho could be available for 40 million. Let's give him 40 million and see what happens. So that's why I do think there is a lot of sort of this wait and see approach for a lot of clubs now. Like the sort of initial business by a lot of people have been done. Bit of manoeuvring for PSR and what have you. Whereas now it's like, you know, but we shall see. We shall see indeed what happens. Big up Saeedi's in the chat as well. Says we're chilling with Flex and KG before. Big content coming. I mean, I told you now's the time to subscribe. I said now's the time to subscribe. Click the notification bells because you never know what is on the horizon. Yeah, I'm not going to say any more spoilers and all that kind of stuff, but I mentioned pre-season tour. If you haven't already, subscribe and click that notification bell, but especially the notification bell because the upload times are all over the place. But yeah, click the notification bell. You never know. You never know what's going to happen with the pre-season stuff. So yes, that is the latest transfer news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. Where are we at in terms of likes? We are, what's that, 28 likes away from 400. So if you haven't already, let's see if we can get to 400 likes. What's on tap for the remainder of the day? Well, of course, as I mentioned, if there's any more breaking transfer news or stories or anything like that, I will be here to cover all of it. Whether it is incomings, outgoings, personal terms, fee agreed. We were so spoiled, weren't we? For that sort of 7 to 10 day period with Xerxes, with Lenny Yoro, with the Ugarte personal terms and all that stuff. And then now, kind of nothing, isn't it? Very, 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 very quiet. But it could heat up at any point. I think they did say, didn't they, the other day that whilst quite senior members, key figures in the football leadership team are out there in California with the Manchester United squad for the pre-season preparation, doesn't mean stuff isn't being worked on. There are other key executives still in Europe working on all of these transfers at the moment. So if there are any transfers, of course, I will be here and I will be covering all of that. As far as later on today, as I mentioned, there's going to be so much stuff coming from the US, from Flex and KG, whether it's stuff inside SoFi Stadium, whether it's collabs, whether it's match previews. Why match previews? Because there's a match tomorrow, of course. There's a match tomorrow. It's Manchester United versus Arsenal, or should I say Arsenal versus Manchester United. It's actually going to be the debut of United's new away kit this season. They're going to be wearing the blue away kit, which some people have said looks a bit like a cricket shirt, you know. But I like it. I think it's a good look, actually. To be fair, I think they've done a pretty good job with all of the kits this season. The away one I like. The third one hasn't been released yet. I like that one. I wasn't immediately sold on the home kit, but it is growing on me a little bit. But we are going to see United play in the away kit against Arsenal on Saturday evening / Sunday morning. So of course I'll be live for that, and we'll get all of the reactions from Flex, from KG, from everyone that's out there in LA. So if you haven't already, subscribe and you'll be notified indeed when that all happens. Anyway, guys, have a good morning, and I'll speak to you again very soon. I'm out of here. Peace.